The human experience is closer than you think. I decided to record this episode because 5 years ago when I was going through a divorce, I was taken aback by my own emotional reaction to what was happening. And I was also surprised by the reaction of the people around me. So I just wanted to let everybody know who's going through a divorce right now that what you're experiencing is totally normal and that you're not alone. And I also wanted to take a minute to talk to the people who will be the support system for someone going through a divorce. And yes, that's you, because statistically speaking, you're either going to go through a divorce yourself or you're going to know someone who is going through a divorce. So I'm hoping you can watch this video and learn a few things, because pop culture and society don't exactly get the whole divorce thing right. They don't really capture what it's like to go through it. So I talked to my friend Katie Ward, who is recently divorced, and we kind of compared notes. But side note, this is not an anti-marriage, marriage bashing, man bashing episode. I am happily remarried, although that is definitely not the key to success post-divorce. It's just the option that was right for me. And I wanted to get two perspectives. So it was a very long episode that I had to break down into something much shorter for your sake. So please forgive any choppiness. And to begin, I asked Katie, when did you know that it was not just a separation and was actually a divorce? So let's listen to what she had to say.
May 17th was when I realized that I don't recognize this man anymore. Looking back, I feel like I did absolutely everything I could to try and save the marriage. Some people have a voyeuristic curiosity about divorce. What went wrong? What did you do? What did he do?
Right.
No two divorces are the same.
Right.
I stand by every decision I made throughout this entire process. Some of them were stupid decisions. If I tell my kids what the story of mom and dad 20 years from now, will I stand by who I was at the time?
I had a lot of guilt because I have Catholic guilt. But I had a lot of agonizing over the decision because I felt like, well, okay, I'm not being beaten. In my case, I wasn't cheated on. Mm-hmm. And because nobody before me had experienced what I experienced, they experienced one of these very black and white issues.
Right.
I felt like I was, horrible. I was a horrible person because I was walking out on a marriage when in my case, there was still love. Nobody tells you that it's going to feel like grief.
Mm-mm. It's like I was grieving the loss of this life I thought I would always have. We made promises to each other that this is what our life is going to be, and it's what I thought I would always have. And then one day, that's not the case anymore. That was the scariest, but most empowering moment of my life.
You just have to trust that negative feeling that you have, that something's not right, that this isn't the big dream, you have to trust that it's time to go. The piece about grief, I think, that there isn't a whole lot of emphasis on it, and we support people who are grieving a death differently, and I didn't feel a whole lot of grief support after my divorce.
No, the biggest supporters for that part were the people who have been through this before. I can't really describe it to anyone. And then someone says, you're grieving. Even though I am the one who filed, even though this was my decision, I'm still grieving this.
And nobody can wrap their head around that.
No.
That you made the decision. So you're not allowed to be unhappy because you ended it and you're getting everything you deserve. If 50% of the population that gets married also gets divorced, where were they? I just wanted them to show up for me, and it almost was like they all had amnesia and they didn't want to go back there because it's so horrible.
I did go to therapy, and I encourage therapy for anybody even contemplating divorce.
100%.
I encourage therapy for everybody.
All the time.
You go to the doctor for physical checkups. Why not go for mental health checkups?
Yes, absolutely.
It was reassuring to have my feelings validated. I don't want to be sad anymore.
Right. Yeah, that's the whole reason you're actually getting out of it.
Right. I don't want to be sad anymore. I want to have control over my life, and what I can control is things that make me happy. I'm going to find myself again, because in that marriage, I lost myself. The hardest thing that I had to do were those first few times when the kids went with their dad and I was all alone. I didn't have kids to only have them 50% of the time. And now I have this free time.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do, and I have to do something, because if I don't do something, all I'm thinking about is how my kids aren't home with me.
Right.
For those first few weeks, months, I had to occupy my time. The excuse was I couldn't be alone. I didn't want to hear that voice in my head that said, we don't know what the future's going to be like.
Right.
So I occupied my time. I did start writing for Detroit Mom's blog, and I started visiting different places, trying new things. I took different classes, and
That maybe you wouldn't have done all of this.
for sure I wouldn't have. Nobody really told me about these little milestones that they have, but like, I remember when we sold our house. I remember the first day that I was okay not doing anything.
It does get easier. And you gave me chills when you said, we don't know what the future is going to be like. 'Cause the breakup aspect of it sucks. The stuff with your kids, your assets, all of this is very stressful. But I have to say, that piece about not knowing the future, it just like hits you. I'm gonna go deep here for a minute. I started having like suicidal like visions, and I was like, something's not right, because I'm not sitting in my room wallowing in self-pity and thinking my life is over. And sure, I was sad, and I started seeing a therapist at that point because I was scaring myself. I mean, I probably just should have just check mark, you're going through a divorce, you need to see a therapist.
Right. Well, and it's hard though, because some people go through this, and I'm not gonna lie, I grew a thick skin, and I fed off of people telling me how proud of me they are. But then I thought, like, I still feel super weak. So the fact that you recognize that you were weak, that's tough admitting. That is so hard to admit that you can't do it all, that you do need help.
And I didn't want to be, and I'm sure you didn't want to be, and this is every woman who's going through it. Like, you want to have your shit together, and you want to just start moving towards something positive. So you don't want to have to waste your time. Like, why am I feeling like this? I can say now that was grief, but I think nobody tells you about that either.
No.
They don't tell you that you could have physical symptoms after experiencing something as traumatic as divorce.
It's similar to losing someone. I didn't eat for days. Right. I was in a depression, and that's what happens after the death of someone is you don't have an appetite.
I was really fortunate that I had family around me, but everybody had been through so much divorce that I feel like they were all kind of, maybe
like
they forgot. Yeah, it kind of felt like they didn't really know what to say. They thought they were providing me with the support that I needed, and also the fact that on the outside, my marriage seemed perfectly fine, and I chose to walk away.
I'm at that point where, yes, we're learning to communicate, but I don't know what he's saying about me behind my back. I didn't divorce his family. I still love his family. That's one of the hardest things, is like, I used to see his family so frequently, and now it's not so much.
Yeah, and now it's somebody that you used to know.
Right. I have trust issues now. I own them and I accept them.
How could you not?
I know. I'm so cautious with what I say and who I say what to, that I feel like I'm not even being real to myself anymore, because I don't know what is going to be used against me.
Yeah.
Because things I've learned, things can be spun to be used against you, even things you didn't realize would.
And then, you do get a little bit paranoid because something may or may not have happened, and then you like put the puzzle together and you link it back to so and so.
Oh yeah.
I just automatically assume all family should side with me. Like, they should just, and your family.
But I mean, given that, and then if that were my perspective too, then all of his family needs to side with him.
Yes. But I definitely had a family member who hadn't even known my ex that long, and they very clearly kept a connection, and they were carpooling together, and they were like, it just hurt. And and this was somebody who had been through divorce more than once, and I just felt like I had expectations of how people should behave after my divorce. And basically nothing went the way that I expected it to, and it's good to throw all expectations out the window.
Yeah. I know it does sound a little juvenile, but I agree that your family should stick by your side until it's gradual.
Yeah.
Even then, like, to talk with you, because I had a family member who, after I, broke the news of the divorce, we're getting divorced.
Mm-hmm. Which is so hard, by the way.
Hardest thing ever.
So
especially
daunting.
When, from the outside, everyone sees you as this perfect couple. But the first thing this family member did was text my ex and ask him about it. Instead of talking to me or asking if I was okay or asking anything, no. You are my family. You need to be on my side.
I think we want to say right now, do not contact the ex. If you know someone who's going through a divorce, it doesn't mean that you have to cut them off. All you need to do is take a breather. And please know that it's not about you. It's about the couple. And the couple is going through something. So your best way to be supportive and loving and a friend is to be with the person you're closer with, be there for that person, or you know what, just stay neutral and back out of it. Nothing hurts worse or feels less supportive than when you go out of your way to still have a relationship or communication, or even sometimes it's as simple as a Facebook friendship. I think everybody around the divorcing couple starts to like think about themselves and their role and what is this going to mean for me. And
as somebody who's going through a divorce, if you realize you haven't talked to somebody in a while, maybe that's why, because they know you're going through something and it's not their place to impose.
It's never an easy decision. It is not a Britney Spears Las Vegas decision.
No, and shame on the people who think that it is.
Yeah.
The logistics of buying a house was hard. Mostly because in my marriage, I didn't handle the finances. And my go-to for information about this is my mom and dad, who bought their house 30 years ago.
Yeah.
On the one hand, super empowering, because I'm like, I have never done this before and I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, it was like, break this down a little bit more for me, because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Like, you sound like a total millennial right now. Like, I'm adulting, I don't know what I'm doing.
I know, I'm adulting. How do I adult?
I first learned that my ex was, how should I say, moving on. But my belongings were all still in the house, but I was not living there. I kind of flipped out. Like, I had a light switch moment, and I was like up all night, and I was like, you know what, it is over. And I knew it was going to be over, but I was just planning on it being more gradual. But this night I was like, I gotta get my stuff. I gotta get out of there. I gotta, once you know, you just kind of want to sever and separate. I think that you need like your own home and your own, you need your independence. And I ended up like over on the side of the road crying, like, who can I call to help me? Like, move all my stuff out. This has to happen today. And one of my sisters I had been fairly estranged with, and she was the one that was available that day. And so while I was sobbing and could not even get the words out, she was the one that I called, and she didn't even think twice. She just came to my rescue. She just helped me. She busted her ass and she just helped me get all of this stuff. And there's going to be some darkness that like brings you closer to people. And when they say, it's very cliche, like you're going to see people's true colors. You're going to see the negative, like the family member I was talking about that sided with the ex. But then you're also going to have people surprise you in how supportive they are.
Do you still talk to that family member who sided with the ex?
No. I don't. I mean, it wasn't really my choice either. They cut me off. And that just hurt. I'm not your friend. I'm your family member. But I do still have the relationship with my sister because I gained a new respect for her dropping everything. Like the people who come to your aid, no matter how well you know them during this time, you remember.
Yeah, I filed for divorce. Yeah, it was my choice. But I still loved him. The problems that I had in my marriage, I take with me now. I maybe overcompensate for it now. Whereas I didn't communicate well then, I over-communicate now.
Yeah.
Like if I call you and we talk about something on the phone, I'm going to follow up with a text or an email. I'm going to make sure that there's no miscommunication.
This is not gonna happen again.
Right. I am still such a hopeless romantic.
Yeah.
I am still a firm believer that any two people who want to be together can make it work.
Yeah.
And it's tough taking that advice from someone who didn't make it work.
My first marriage was full of communication. I mean, we went to so much counseling and it still didn't work. So I don't, if you ever spiral and replay like, well, if we would have, like, look at how good we're communicating now, if only we did this then. And we were both speaking two different languages and there was no way to learn the other person's language. I mean, we came with a unique upbringing and a unique set of patterns, and some people are willing to bend to the will of the other person so much, and then some people are just, unwilling to bend at all. I am remarried, but I don't want people to take away that that's your happily ever after, because I'm a hopeless romantic too, and I know how bad you might want that, but going into a second marriage is terrifying, and that's a whole other episode after you've been divorced, because you bring all of that with you.
Yeah.
I am a better wife, a better communicator, a better just partner in general, because of the lessons I learned from not only what I'm not going to accept as treatment from a partner, but also my reaction and what I can and can't control, and things that bothered me so much in my first marriage do not bother me at all in this one.
Well, and I mean, regardless of why a person is divorced, you are going to grow so much personally from it. Yeah. My growth game is strong. Like, compared to a year ago, 2 years ago, I'm unrecognizable. Yeah. And it's not that I've changed. It's not that I'm a different person. It's I'm a better version of myself.
Yes.
I've reconnected with who I really am, who I kind of lost. As heartbreaking as this entire process has been, I don't regret it. I don't want negative people in my life.
I don't have time for that anymore.
I don't want emotionally draining people in my life. Right. I'm not supporting you. Yeah. I can't, because it was a hell of an uphill battle getting me to this point. I have, I'm more aware of what my deal breakers are. Yes. I'm not going to settle for less than what I deserve.
So often we are fed, if you're a female, especially if you're a female at this age, or if you've been through divorce or whatever, you have no room to be picky, or you're being too picky. I think just the opposite. Get clear on, what you want, and then you're going to attract friends as well as partners who also like the same things.
Yeah.
My daughter's father put it to me like, you're the one who wants the divorce, so you can handle all of it. So you can handle the logistics of making it happen. And I did. So I was the only one with the lawyer. I know that you were the only one with the lawyer as well. So what was that like, and why didn't he have one?
During our initial meeting, I got super emotional and said something about, I just want to make him hurt like I am hurting. And she said, point blank, is that what's best for the kids? And that kept me in check. That's the type of lawyer you want. Yeah. So we agreed to just keep this one lawyer. And yes, she was technically my lawyer, but she did talk to my husband at the time. Yeah. She kind of facilitated the whole thing. We have it in our custody agreement. If either parent wants to introduce a significant other to the children, the other parent has to meet this person at least 24 hours prior. But if you're going through a divorce and you're dating someone who you're serious enough about, who they're being around the kids, you're a package deal. You're becoming a co-parent. You're part of this dynamic that is hard enough as it is, and the other parent deserves to know who is parenting their child 50% of the time. It also keeps yourself in check, I've learned, because I've dated a couple people, and the comment has come around of, well, I mean, I can just come over, when the kids are there. No, you can't.
And the takeaway for me there was that you can customize any of your documents when you're going through the divorce. You
Absolutely.
can keep it very generic, but you can get really intricate. Yes. They are going to have to see it and agree to it. And the more time you go back and forth, the more you're going to be charged. Divorces can be like, I've heard of them being like tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Like, being ridiculous.
Well, and that's kind of why I encourage you to talk to your ex about all of this stuff before you get the lawyers involved, because especially if there's kids involved, you're gonna have to see and talk to this person.
If you're in the situation where you're trying all of that and the other person is not, or is being inappropriate or whatever, then you might maybe try a mediator or something that would be a little bit less expensive than your lawyer, but you would still be communicating and trying to iron out some of these details. Really picking your battles is like an ongoing thing, even after
it took me a while to be able to accept that I can't control what happens when my kids are with their dad. I can't control that he gave them McDonald's, or he could afford to take them to Chuck E. Cheese, or he did this. Like, I can't do that. I have to let it go.
There's so much that I wanted to go down differently in my daughter's adolescence, and the emotional turmoil you feel when you want to control your child's environment and they are with the other parent. It's really more about you. It feels like it's a battle with the other parent, and really it's more like something that you have to learn to let go of. We just kind of have to do our best when we have them, and the best example and the best environment, the best lessons, the best revenge, all of that is you being happy and successful. So go to therapy. Keep living your life. Do what makes you happy. I mean, you have
try
to
it all until you find what makes you happy.
Yes. Go skydiving.
I
would. do what you want. YOLO. I mean,
hashtag YOLO.
YOLO within reason.
But right.
You need to try to find the positive and also allow yourself to be weak and vulnerable. These are not 4-letter words.
It's okay to have a breakdown. Don't unpack and live there.
I remember the day that the ink was dry. I had a friend say, man, you must be relieved. You must be celebrating. And I remember hearing about the divorce parties and divorce dates and all. And initially I was like, I'm going to do all that. But you know what? The day that it happened, I didn't feel relief. I didn't feel happy. I got what I wanted, but it's just a reminder, like, you got what you wanted. It's okay if you backtrack and you watch something stupid on TV.
The first time you hear your wedding song.
Oh my gosh.
Ball City, I swear.
Yes. Yeah, and then you're gonna keep hearing it forever.
Yeah, you are.
Like, anytime I start going down memory lane, I have an interaction where I'm like, we are not on the same page.
Thank you, universe.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for talking to me, Katie.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
No one gets married with the intention of getting divorced. When it happens, it's a million things, but above all else, it's an opportunity to grow. Next time, I'll be chatting with the incomparable Stephanie Burrows, all about transformation. Until then, keep moving forward.